Danielle is a holistic health coach who teaches nutrition classes here at Gilda's Club. Many of you are very familiar with our friend Danielle. And Karen Gillingham is the Director of Operations at the New Beginning Center. She is a coach and encourager of women. We're all women in this room today. Wow. And she helps people on their path to better health, and her personal mission is to help women unpack their superpowers. Sounds pretty lovely, actually. So welcome, everybody. Feel free if you have questions. I'm sure Danielle and Karen are happy to answer those. If you want to grab that, there's a bottle of water. So welcome to Danielle.
Hey, everybody. Again, I'm Danielle and Gilbert. I know a number of you, but not everyone. And so Karen and I today are talking about the importance of eating well, not only during cancer treatment, but after, and also if you're interested in cancer prevention in general. So we're going to be talking about that, and then we'll be talking about easy, measurable goals and steps that you can take so you can add these things into your life. People who take my classes know we all know what to do, but how do you actually work it into your life? It's not what you know, it's what you do. So, with that, it's true. It's tricky. Trickier than you would think. So I recently read something in a book about cancer that talked about how facing a cancer diagnosis is not unlike climbing Mount Everest. It's a daunting task, and any of you who've been through it before know that that's true. It involves a lot of work in preparing for the whole endeavor. The climb is kind of like going through the treatment, the chemo, the surgery, the radiation. The summit is when you've completed all of that. The part that most people forget is the descent, which is actually really hard, but that's post-treatment. Like, what do you do with your life and self-care to make sure that you're doing everything you can to support your body so that it can heal and kind of build back after it's been through so much. So basically, what you put in your body is one of the things that you can control. It's probably one of the only things that you can control when you're going through cancer. So it matters. So during treatment, they say that the food you put in your body, plus chemo, radiation, and all the steps that you take to heal, come together in a synergistic way. So it all adds up to be more than the individual parts itself, right? So not only does chemo and radiation and surgery help you to kind of eradicate the cancer, hopefully the nutrition just helps you kind of get through the whole process in just an easier way. So let me say this. I mean, I've worked with people who have been through cancer more than once, and some of them were in the room, who experienced cancer while they were not worrying about they were eating, and later, the second time, kind of paying attention to putting good, healthy, real food in their body, and the experience is a completely different situation. So all I could say is, again, it's something that you can control, and what you do supports all the things that your doctors are helping you do to heal. So after treatment, it's just eating well and taking care of yourself and getting the rest that you need and the movement that you need helps your body to rebuild. After, cancer treatment's hard, and it kind of tears the body apart. So it just helps you to kind of build your strength back and build your body back so that it can fight and help you to live the fullest life that you can live. So side effects. Anybody who's been through cancer can tell you that the side effects that people have, it's widespread, and what happens with one person under the same drug is different for the next person, so it just really varies. Is anybody going through treatment right now? No. Has anybody been through treatment? Yeah, so a number of you. So common side effects are all of these things, and again, it just varies from one person to the next. So we're all individuals, and the way we respond to things is going to be different, different in each person. So appetite changes. A lot of people will tell you that either they lose their appetite. I've met people who were vegans for their whole lives after chemo, all they wanted was a cheeseburger. I mean, it changes everything. It changes your taste buds, it changes your gut. A lot of people have just digestive issues that come after any type of med, really. So the thing that you want to think about when you're trying to heal with food is that it just, what am I saying? Food is medicine. And what you eat with every bite that you put in your mouth can make a difference. So, so you think of food as nourishment as opposed to just calories, right? And so you want to make sure that what you're putting in your body has the biggest bang for its buck. So even if you're not hungry, just putting in food, and I'll say, you know, the nutrients are in the color of food. So colorful fruits and vegetables are going to be the best thing that you can put in your body to build your immune system, to keep your gut strong, and to keep inflammation down. So almost just making sure you eat regularly, but thinking of food as like that vitamin that you're putting in your body as opposed to just stuffing your face with, you know, whatever it is. Digestive issues are really common. I mean, you could definitely say what you want to do with constipation. As a nation, we don't eat a lot of fiber. I mean, compared to the rest of the world, we're like very much on the low scale. So constipation usually does better with lots and lots of plant-based fiber and things like flaxseed or psyllium husk or things that you can add to your smoothies to kind of help things flow. And I mean, diarrhea, same thing, like, well, not really the same thing. You want, if your stomach is that sensitive, eating food that is cooked as opposed to raw is going to be easier on the digestive system. Things like bone broth, that's healing. Just gentle kind of foods. I mean, they say what, like the brat diet, the bananas, rice, applesauce. What's the tea?
Toast.
Yeah, just things. If you think about it, if you're going through something like that, your digestive system is very sensitive. So you want to do things that are, you know, really calming as opposed to like a big bowl of spicy Indian food, right? I mean, it's just kind of common sense. And the idea of like listening to your body and kind of getting a sense for what your body needs, it actually, if you learn to pay attention to it, it speaks to you. So it's the same thing with all this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to go into details with this, but as you can see, dry mouth, I mean, that's one of the side effects as well, along with like mouth sores. Just eating foods that are kind of soothing to the membranes and tissues of your body, not spicy kind of, you know, things that are aggravating. Fatigue. Fatigue, I mean, to me, I think that's just such a tricky thing, but just listening to your body with that too. I mean, I think when you have cancer and you're in the process of trying to heal, learning to listen to your body is one of the best things that you could really do. And if you're tired, rest. I mean, and eventually, I think the more you do to kind of build yourself back up, that will, you know, that will alleviate in time. But just, I think people in this country have this go, go, go sort of mentality, and when it's time to rest, it's time to rest. So just making sure you get the, you know, just the time you need to heal. Nausea and vomiting, a lot of people have a lot of luck with things like ginger is very soothing to the body when you're nauseous. So like ginger teas, I mean, some people do really well with like peppermint or mint teas. I've even used like essential oils with things like mint, I mean ginger. They have blends where you can even rub it on your belly. So there's lots of options. It's just a matter of trying a few different things to see what's most soothing for your digestive system. Smell aversion, I mean, it's just another wild side effects. I mean, I had some lady I worked with whose legs felt like she had cement blocks in them. Other people who don't feel their feet at all. I mean, it's a crazy thing what happens to the body afterwards, but you kind of just have to, you know, try things and see what works. But taste change, I go back to the same thing, is trying to think of food as medicine and what, like, food is nourishment, and just kind of just eating smaller portions of food and, you know, every 2-3 hours. But you want to make sure that what you put in your body it's like the most nutrient-dense foods you can put in as if it's, a vitamin. Weight loss, I mean, if you're, the thing I tell everybody in the classes that I do, the best thing you could do, whether you're going through cancer treatment or you're just trying to be healthier in general, is to eat real food. So real food meaning single ingredient food that comes from the earth, right? Like if it's made in a factory, it's not usually something that our bodies know how to digest and use for energy. So eating single ingredient food that's colorful, meaning as many plants and plant-based foods like fruits and vegetables that you can put in your body. So that's the best way, I'd say, losing weight, just watching what you put in your body in terms of, like avoiding processed things, fast foods. Dairy can help you put on weight, lots of carbs, obviously, and sugar. So some people, though, have the problem where they can't gain weight when they're going through treatment. I can't even remember, I don't know how to pronounce the term, what is it? Cachexia? Yeah, where people lose weight and they can't stop. And a lot of times, the first thing that people go for, like the insurers and the boosts and things like that, but really a higher protein plate and a higher fat plate is what's going to help you kind of keep the weight on if you're going through something like that. So long-term effects and benefits. When you're going through the treatment and you're post-treatment, you want to try it and make your body, as they say, like an anti-cancer terrain, meaning like the soil. So if you kind of think of your body as a garden, and chemo, radiation, surgery can wipe off the plants, the weeds, the whatever. But what you want to attend to when you're trying to build your body back up is the soil, just like you would in a garden. You want the soil to be strong. And so cancer has a sweet tooth. It tends to like lots of sugar, so that's something to avoid. Like the blood sugar spikes, cancer seems to like that. Cancer seems to like a body that's inflamed, so it kind of thrives on inflammation. So those are two areas to kind of think about when you're creating like the diet that you want to maintain as you go forward. And so basically that comes down to keeping it like low glycemic foods, real food that comes from the earth, colorful fruits and vegetables. It's actually really simple, but if most of us look through what we eat during a day's time, myself included, sometimes it's kind of stark when it comes to the colorful foods, and that's what's going to make your body stronger and help you to fight off really any disease. So, and then it comes down to what you eat, what you drink, how you move, how you sleep, how you think. So it's a far-reaching thing, and food is just one layer of it. But as anybody knows, like in my classes, the moral of the story is eat more vegetables. It's kind of simple. Eat real food. Eat food that's clean if possible, meaning you want to try and avoid foods that have been sprayed with lots and lots of chemicals. If you can eat food that's local, that's even better, because food that's just been picked is higher in nutrients than food that's been sitting in a grocery store, truck or refrigerator for some length of time. So the more and more you can add these things into your life, it just makes you stronger in fighting off anything, even the coronavirus. So here, Karen, I'm gonna
mic me up.
Yeah, sure, that's good. Is everybody hearing okay?
I don't even know if this thing's working.
Yeah, it was working and then it stopped working, I think, so.
Yeah,
It's
good
working.
for the video.
Is it working? Okay, great.
So, okay, Karen.
And we need we want to stop around noon, do you think, to do the demo?
Yeah.
Okay, and what time is it at this point?
11:40.
11:40, so 20 minutes. Okay, so give me just a 2 or 3 minute little wait before, if I'm still talking.
Okay.
If I'm still talking. So, I get the part of the presentation now where we're going to talk about more the behavior change and how to incorporate healthier habits. So Danielle had her presentation was awesome about, the importance of eating nutrient-rich foods and making sure that we're doing all the right things to support our good health. And I also just want to say too that the journey to good health, the journey to better health it's a journey without a finish line. So we've all been on a journey our entire lives, and depending on where we are in our life or what age we are, our goals might change a little bit over time. So it's something that we always need to evaluate. You will be getting this little booklet today as part of a little takeaway. And I just want to point out that there's a page that, and you've probably all heard the acronym SMART for creating goals. The S is for specific, so you don't just want kind of a generic goal. You want it to be as specific as possible. It has to be something that is measurable so that you know that you're making progress, that you're getting there. Something that's attainable. So if I want to start drinking more water, and maybe I only drink about 16 ounces a day, it would not be really smart for me to say, okay, starting next week you need to get 64 ounces. That's quite a big jump. So maybe I want to next week add 1 more 8-ounce glass of water. And if that's going pretty well, then the next week maybe add another one. So you want to consider attainability. Realistic, so that had to do also with the attainability factor. And then timely, so you do want to be able to put a parameter around that, and not just like, one day I would love to be able to, drink 64 ounces of water and get my 10,000 steps. And so it's not one day. It's, we're going to break the goals down and put a time frame around it. And which is the right here? Oh yeah, no, so I'm not doing any of that. Okay, so I get to go off script now. But I want you to think about the things that you would like to do to move the needle a little bit on better health. So think to yourself, and they've got a whole list of goals in the booklet, like including more physical activity, increasing fruits and vegetables, achieving and maintaining a healthy weight, limiting processed foods. So that's a good start, but add to that. So, make your own list of things that you feel like are going to help you be healthier and live better. And, but you might have 5 things, you might have 10 things. That's a lot of things. So you want to break it down and just take 1 or 2 and get started. So at New Beginnings, we're a behavior change model toward better health, and we talk a lot about baby steps, and they're so important. So we just want to take, like I gave the water example. I want to be able to drink an extra 8 ounces a day this week or for 5 days. And then once you get a handle on that, you feel like you've got a tighter grip on those reins, right? I did that. So now I'm going to try to limit my processed foods. So I've got my pantry. If I open up my pantry doors, I see Cheetos, I see pretzels, I see crackers, I see all kinds of stuff that maybe I don't want to have in there. So then, that can be part of your goal, to to do the clean out, do the cabinet clean out, and look in your fridge. What do you see when you look inside your refrigerator? Do you see pretty, colorful fruits and vegetables? Or do you see just kind of a lot of white stuff? Or, containers where you can't even see what's in there anymore? So, let's redecorate the refrigerator with some, freshly cut peppers, grapes, and just have things right at the ready, and so that it's even like when you open it up, it's visually appealing. Like, oh yes, I'm gonna have some of those because they're ready, they're cut up for me. So again, like taking baby steps, and so you've got your goals, you've kind of like set them up in a smart fashion. The other two things that we have to attach to that goal, so we need to have an attitude of gratitude, okay? That's a very important practice. It doesn't have to necessarily be around the goal, it could be, but when we can, on a regular basis, be grateful and think of things, even 3 to 5 things a day. They can be the same thing, they can be different things depending on the day and how it goes. But it helps to elevate our emotional state. I've got good friends, I've got a great relationship with my kids, I have a car that is running that will get me to work today, right? I've got shoes I can put on my feet. Some days like that's the thing, right? That I'm grateful for. But it's like remembering, I've got this good stuff. And my life is rich with these things, or with love, with friendship. And just a side note, a few weeks ago, a woman that I met along the way, last summer we were trading gratitudes every day, and then we kind of got away from it, as we do. And so a few weeks ago I saw her and she said, "Can we do that again?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." And I didn't even realize that it was something that was meaningful to her, but I know that I really enjoy doing it. So every day we send each other 3, it's just like a little smiley emoji alongside each one, and we say 3 things that we're grateful for. And so we're doing that every morning, but it can also be done at night. So think about a buddy, just like one of the slides was like, go out and enjoy food with a friend. Think about somebody in your life that you could share gratitudes with. And they can be completely separate. We do not, Sharon and I do not see each other very regularly. And so her gratitudes are more, around her life, and mine are around mine. But it's so fun to be able to share that. And then also follow up, you mentioned that your grandson, and I can reach back around and just, create that conversation. So an attitude of gratitude is very important. The other thing that we need to do is celebrate. So when you have achieved even the little thing, like drinking an extra cup of water for 2 or 3 days in a row, you have to celebrate. And it's probably going to sound silly, but I hope that some of you at some point have done this in your lives, where you can look in the mirror and just say, "You are awesome, way to go." You can just put your hands up, victory, I did it. And so that is just such it's a piece of the equation that lifts us up. It makes us feel joy, and then we attach that to the achievement, which then makes us kind of excited to try another new thing. Does anybody think I'm crazy?
No.
Has anybody tried that before? So, but I really strongly encourage you to do that. And it's also another thing why it's good to have an accountability partner, somebody else in your life to celebrate with. So it's like, "Hey Donna, I'm really going to try I'm going to try 3 days this week to walk for 30 minutes. And then Donna might reach out to me, "How did that go for you?" "I did it." "Yes, you can do it." And so you've got a little cheerleader, but then you've also got, and then you have somebody to report back to. Like, "I did that, yes." So, and then how are we doing on time? So in terms of how-tos, how to do these things and set good new habits in motion, we've got 3 S's. We have structure, systems, and schedule. So structure is kind of like the big box parameters. So if I want to improve my health, improve my eating, who's got some ideas? What would structure look like? Think of the kitchen. What would structure look like for healthier eating?
I have trouble eating 3 meals.
Okay. So, no, so structure meaning like, what do I want to have in my kitchen? So having some prep space. What about what's in there? We talked a little bit about the refrigerator and the cabinet. In order to be successful with healthier eating, what needs to be in the kitchen?
The colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, right? We want to have, if I really want to make a change and I want to do better, I need to get rid of the stuff that is not fueling me, okay? So I want to look in my cabinets, I want to look in my refrigerator, in my freezer. Is there anything in there that is not helping me get further on my journey? And then get rid of it.
I think some people use the kitchen as a dumping ground. They first walk in the door, they pile things on the table, and I think when you have all that visual clutter, it's hard to stop and think about food, because you just have all the stuff that's getting in the way, so just having a clean space can make it easier to go in there.
Right. Yes, that's a good point. To have, like, look at that, like to have a kitchen with like clean counters, yes. And so, and making sure that you have the things that you need to prepare the things that are going to, again, help you along your journey. And then, I'm going to get back to what you said about, finding it hard to, eat enough meals in a day. So we also want the people that we live with in our house to be on board. So, and I feel like any of you should be able to say to the people in the house, this is how it's going to be. This is the way I'm going to eat. And if you're not on board, you can fix what you want, and I'm going to fix what I want. And just, at least for a little while, because and I'm always telling people, you do not have, everything does not have to be the same. And I know if you have children, it is a challenge. It is a challenge, but I promise you they will not starve. And I also feel like we can show them, what it looks like to eat well, and it will, train them, and they will feel better too, because they don't need the processed stuff either. So we have structure, we have systems, and then having your system in place is, putting a system in place is, so let's go back to my water example. So how am I going, so I've bought the water, I've got bottles of water, or like I bought myself a pretty, glass jar that I'm gonna fill up every day before I leave the house. So I've got my jar, and I've even have it on the counter, on the clean counter. And so in the morning before I leave, I've got my car keys right there, so I remember to fill up my water and take it with me. And so at every time I stop at a stoplight, or every time I stop in traffic, I'm gonna take a sip of water. So that's the way I'm going to get my extra water in the day. And that brings me to another point, and I'm just going to give you a quick commercial on it. But tiny habits, if you can tie in a new behavior to something that you do automatically. So think of all the automatic things you do. I buckle my seatbelt, I brush my teeth before I leave the house. At night I climb into bed, right? So think of something that you can attach to that behavior, to that habit, so you can just like join up the two things. So when I get into bed at night, I will state out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for. When I buckle my seatbelt, I will take a sip of water. So you kind of get the idea of that. It's a really easy way to incorporate some new systems. And then after systems, it's schedule. So just like we make doctor's appointments, put them on our calendar, we schedule meetings, we have to do the same thing for self-care. So I don't care if it's a 10-minute, I'm going to journal for 10 minutes today. This is when I'm going to eat my breakfast, so if you do have trouble and you really want to be eating three meals a day, then, put it on your calendar, put it in your phone. So what the things that get scheduled, they get managed, right? Because we look and, oh yeah, I've got exercise today, or I'm having lunch with my friend. So, so putting your exercise on there, if that's the thing you're trying to do a little bit better on, schedule your exercise. This is my 20 minutes where I'm gonna, take out a band and do a little bit of, band work today for a little strength training. Or, this is the 15 minutes, and exercise doesn't have to be an hour-long trip to the gym. It can be short. Those small increments of time add up, and they matter. So, put that little 15-minute increment in your calendar. Questions, thoughts? Yes.
I'm drawn to terrible speeches, and it's also easy to eat.
Yes. So, get it out of your house.
Well, then I just get hungry.
Okay, so then what could you replace that with? Is there something, fruit, right? So grapes, carrots even taste sweet when in the essence. You cannot do a side-by-side taste test. You cannot have the candy and the carrots and think you'll be successful there. You have to get the other stuff out. But I'm telling you, if you do not have any candy in the house and you get that sweet tooth, you will go and you will enjoy that carrot. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, those taste really sweet. Who knew? Red grapes are great. Berries are wonderful. And then you could also have some in the freezer. Did somebody say dates?
The dates, yeah, the strawberries.
Yeah.
And once you cut out processed sugar, you lose the taste for the junk.
Yes.
And you like the fruit better.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Absolutely.
mean, our tongues have changed anyway.
Right.
And it's like, let's just eat.
Your taste will change. It takes about 3 days. So you have to be away from it for at least that long, maybe a little bit longer. You might get cranky, you probably will get cranky. You will feel tired, you will feel like everything you look at looks like a donut. You will just want it so badly, but if you can just get through that 3rd day or 4th day and give Donna your phone number. Find somebody to text or call.
To your point about achievable,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be an overnight thing either. I wanted to pull my kids off of all that stuff, so I started buying less. So instead of 3 boxes of cereal, I bought 2. And then back to 1, and I went from white bread to honey wheat to multigrain to whole grain. And over time, and I still keep a tiny little stash of dark chocolate for those days where I absolutely need a hit.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you know that that's there in the freezer and you can get away with having 1 piece, good to go. But where it becomes a problem, where it's like, oh no, I'm going back, I just eat the entire bag. So it's just like, yeah, I'm not quite ready for that. I can't have that in the house.
Oh, you
Yes.
1 minute left.
Oh, thank
Sorry.
you.
Take as long as you need, but just let me know.
So, but no, I love that, that's right. And again, it's a process, you guys. And the important thing is, do not beat yourself up. So we have to go back to those small habits. What did I do right? So let's say I binge ate. I did not do a good job today. So we have to have a really bad memory, okay? We're getting rid of that day. We don't have to remember it. It does not need to identify us. It was 1 day. But maybe I did do something good that day. Maybe I still took time to journal. Maybe I did some appreciations. Maybe I had, maybe I drank water in that day, even though the rest of the day was, not where I wanted to be. So look at the things that you've done well and celebrate those and be proud of yourself. And just move on. Donna, did you have a
Also celebrate what you've done well.
Celebrate. Yes,
I forget to do that.
I know, we all do. We don't do enough of it. Yes, but we are pretty awesome, right? Yes. So let's end with a collective group. I am awesome. I'm 3. 1, 2, 3. I am awesome. Yes.
I was just going to share that was a good thing and a bad thing.
Okay. Let's do do the bad thing first. We have to end up
Okay, the
good.
bad thing was when I was doing chemo, I lived on banana popsicles and ginger cheese.
Okay.
And I lost 65 pounds. Unfortunately, I gained it all back,
Okay.
which I thought was a good sign, but the oncologist was like,
Said it might be too much.
he's like, get it off. That causes cancer. But the good thing was he instituted, and it's become habit, 16 ounces of water when I first wake up. And it was very difficult at first, but now I actually feel thirst.
That's great. That is excellent. Yes, because
And
you're
I'm
well
doing that, so maybe I
hydrated.
need to celebrate that.
Yes, you do. Yes. If you
I'm
have
obviously eating something.
well, and water's so good in the morning too because it doesn't. Our stomach doesn't know what's in there. It has no calories, but it just knows that something's in there, and it can really help with our hunger cues. With you know what I'm saying?
Well, he says it starts all your organs up.
Yes, it does, and having a little lemon in that
And
water.
I found that it is almost as invigorating as caffeine.
Nice.
But,
That's great. Great
I don't know
testimony.
if it is for everybody.
Yeah.
Drink room temperature or cold?
Just room temperature. I put a bottle right next to my bed, and the first thing I do when I wake up is drink that water.
We can keep the conversation going. We're going to segue over here into the food prep area, and we're going to. Okay.
Oh, shit.
All right, so Karen and I are going to be showing you a few different recipes today. These are things that you hopefully can take home and add to whatever you do in the kitchen. Both of us are big advocates for cooking at home because the thing is, about the oils that you're using, if you're adding extra salt. I mean, most of the time restaurants inevitably, they load up. Most of the time they're not using oils that are anti-inflammatory, they're using inflammatory oils. So like just seed oils and things like that, whereas olive oil and coconut oil are anti-inflammatory, so higher in omega-3s. So basically the gist of it is, if you make it yourself, you know what's going in. And I can always tell when I go to a restaurant when they add sugar, because sugar makes you want to have more sugar, right? Like that's just how it works. I could even tell in salads when they add sugar when I crave something sweet at the end. It's interesting. As soon as you get it in your mouth and it's on your taste buds, it just is this automatic physiological reaction. The more you have, the more you want it, and that's the trouble with sugar. They say 8 times more addictive than heroin and cocaine, and anybody who's tried to quit it will probably agree. It's an addiction. And so if you cook at home, you know what you're putting in your body, and you know the quality of the ingredients. I mean, I could also say most restaurants don't care if they're getting good quality meats. A lot of times, if you have cancer, you want to pay attention to the quality of the food that you're putting in your body. A lot of the meats that most restaurants use have been given hormones, which is not great for women with estrogenic, cancers, and also antibiotics. And that's not something that's good for anybody's gut. So anyhow, you have control. So roasted vegetables, like making a big pan of roasted vegetables is so easy. And the beauty of roasting things like this is that it brings out the flavor. It almost makes it sweet. I mean, there was a woman I worked with who she didn't want to touch anything that didn't have sugar in it. She roasted broccoli, and all of a sudden it was her favorite thing. I mean, it brings out the sweetness in vegetables, like sweet potatoes, broccoli, all these things. It's lovely. So if you get in the habit of roasting a big pan or even 2, you have it to take for lunches, or you have it available. Like Karen was saying, just when you open up your refrigerator door, having something there to go to besides a bag of like Oreos, you want to have it there, and something that's easily accessible, because you're not going to want to if you're hungry, the first thing you're going to want to reach for is something that's sugary and kind of carb filled. You're not going to want to have a carrot stick. So just having food there and kind of staying ahead of the hunger is a great thing. So roasting vegetables, I got most of this ready for you. I mean, it's really pretty simple. Broccoli, it's not a science. you don't have to be perfect with doing something like this. It doesn't have to be cut a certain way. You just put it in a pan and roast away. The biggest thing I could say is that if you try and keep things about the same size, you can have a little more control over how quickly it all cooks. So we're just going to put all of this on the same pan and go for it. And if it's perfect, that's great. If it's not, it's still going to be good. So, any thoughts on roasted vegetables? Any experiences?
Well, just to reiterate how the sweetness is, and I think with carrots, especially if they get a little bit charred, I almost like to overdo mine just a little bit. And then you can do, if you wanted to keep things separate, you could do all Brussels sprouts on one side of the pan, carrots on the other. And you could do, let's see, what other things do you guys like to roast?
Apples.
Apples?
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, and asparagus.
Like sliced
Yes.
apples?
Yes.
I mix them in with all of my vegetables and
That's
it's
really
fantastic.
great idea.
They caramelize. My kids love them.
Onions, yes.
Onions so
Yes.
good, garlic so good.
Yep, and so to even like, and red onion, which can really, if you have it in a salad, you can be like tasting that in the back of your throat all day long. But if you roast those red onions, they are delicious. They become
It's
mild.
like candy.
kind of
It's
sweet.
candy.
Same with garlic.
Garlic too.
What's in
Yeah.
that container?
So this is Brussels sprouts. So Brussels sprouts, I mean, you can seriously roast anything, but we brought today Brussels sprouts, carrots, and broccoli. And olive oil is, I mean, it's not rocket science, just dump some of that in there, stir it up, and that's that. So olive oil, I found this brand to be a really good one. Some of them, you can get this at Target, at Kroger, any grocery store. It's called California Olive Brand, or Olive Ranch. It's kind of one of the more inexpensive, I know it's good quality olive oils, because some of them are not, pardon me?
Extra virgin.
Yes. Yeah, because a lot of them are thought to be not so great, and you kind of have to be careful about what you buy. But this is one, I've looked into it, you can get, and it's, it's reasonably priced, and you can get it anywhere. So you can just put it, I mean, you could put the olive oil on the pan and mix it up with your hands. I'm not going to do that today since, I'm cooking for you guys. But yeah, just cover it with that and salt and pepper, and that is it. You can get fancy with this. You can add herbs, like rosemary on sweet potatoes. Oh, so good. I mean, there's endless options, so it just depends on, it gets to be like a fun, creative game. Like, what do I have in my kitchen? What can I do with this? And roasting stuff, beets, another thing. But, I mean, imagine if we did beets with this, all the colors, right?
Good, yeah.
You got red, purple, orange, green. I mean, you're literally eating the rainbow. And that's something, there's some in the paperwork, like if you kind of create a game around that too, like how much, even if you ate the rainbow every week, imagine if you ate it every day. I mean, you will notice over time that your body gets stronger, that you're more resilient, and don't really pick up all the colds, allergies, things like that. This is what helps your immune system to kind of just be strong and fight off all kinds of things. So,
and roasted veggies are great reheated. They're great cold the next day. I like to sometimes dice them up even a little bit smaller, and then I'll reheat them in a pan or in the microwave, and then I'll add like 2 sunny-side up eggs on top. So it's almost like a hash, but it's veggie hash. So it's a great way to eat the leftover ones.
yeah, and chopping wise, I mean, just chop off the little stem, and you don't have to be perfect about this, right? You just cut it up, right? Cut it up. Carrots, however you like it. If you want to make nice little shapes and, be creative, then do it. If not, what I'm trying to say is, like, some people don't step into the kitchen because they think things have to be a certain way. You just do it. And the more you do, the more you practice it, the better at it you get. You just get more creative, and it's fun. Brussels sprouts, all you really do is cut off the little tail and chop it into what other size you want. So that's really that. easy.
And asparagus, just when you said it, Donna, is super easy because you don't even really have to cut it. You can just like throw that on your pan because it's already so skinny. And it'll probably cook a little faster. You might want to just like throw that on top of your veggies after about 10 minutes maybe.
Something else I've been doing to replace my potato chip is my kale chips.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you
Uh-huh.
know what's also really good?
What?
If you cut
Kale chips.
sweet potatoes, if you cut them into really small slivers, it's really good. If it gets crispy, my
Yes.
dog and I share sweet potato chips.
Yeah.
He loves them.
Yes.
My dog is healthy too.
Yes.
So anyways, salt, pepper, whatever herbs you want, and seriously, that's it. Easy. But imagine if you had this in your refrigerator and it tastes like, vegetable candy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
So anyhow, I'm going to stick this in the oven, and then Karen is going to show us how to make salmon in parchment. Is that what you want? Yeah, that's probably the best way to get it cooking, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Has anybody cooked with parchment paper before?
Oh, yeah.
No, yes, some have, some haven't. So, I love getting the parchment pop-ups. I'm sure they're a little more expensive than just getting, a roll of it, but either way. And then what I'm doing with the parchment, you could also use foil for this, but parchment pouches, you can do, chicken, any kind of fish. We're gonna do our salmon this way. And let's see, are we gonna, the lemons for that right now? Can I do the lemons and the two? So this is so simple, and you guys get to have this recipe. I'm gonna be doing it slightly off the recipe, but that's okay. So basically, you just lay some lemon down on the parchment paper, or imagine foil. I'll tell you why foil is slightly, might be more appealing than the parchment paper. It's just when you go to make your little pouch. So then I'm gonna take my salmon, and then we can do, yeah, we'll do a little bit of dill on there, and then I'm just gonna wipe off my hands real quick. They're fishy. And then put a little bit of salt and pepper on there.
See, I've been buying those already in the pouch. I could be.
Where? Where do you get them already in? Huh?
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods have them? Well, I don't own a Whole Foods, so I have to do mine myself.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Well, no.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, yes, so easy. And then I'll take a little bit of that, a little bit of dill, or parsley, done. Okay, so then the fun part is making it into a little pouch. So if you have foil, obviously you can like pinch the edges a little bit easier and they'll stay. But what I've done before, you can also staple this. So it's okay to use a staple and then stick that in your oven. It won't hurt it at all. And so you just kind of, make your little pouch, like stick that guy in there, pinch it a little bit, kind of like you're wrapping a little present to yourself that you're going to eat later.
Question.
Yes.
You said avoid like alcohol or something like that. Is it okay like if you put white wine in that?
Yes.
It cooks
Yeah.
down.
For sure, absolutely, a little splash of white wine. So you've got your little pouch, you just stick it on your pan, and then what I can't believe is staying, like that. Yay! We're gonna celebrate, I did it! The other thing you can do is like, you could make little tears in it, and then like fold one down, make another little tear, fold it the other way. So lots of different ways you can do that. So if you've got parchment paper, but again, use the foil if you want to.
On those potatoes, on the vegetables, did you put it on broil or bake?
We put it at 400
So
They,
baking.
yeah,
Bake.
we baked it. Yeah, I mean,
You
it,
baked it.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
400
roasting is just,
usually
yeah, you're
seems
just
to work pretty
baking
well.
it a little bit of a higher temp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You baked it for how long?
we're only gonna do 15 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
mean, it's quick.
And then you just take it out, take your pan out and just poke a fork into a couple of the pieces. If it goes in easily, you're good to go. And if they're, you know, if they're still kind of tough, because maybe the pieces were a little bit bigger, you just stick it back in for a little bit more. Yeah, but if you broil them, they might start to cook too much and it might get like too charred without them like really getting soft.
I learned to do that with some of these prepared meals, like,
Heimerdinger?
I'm thinking they have a
Oh,
fresh,
you mean like the
fresh
Hello Fresh?
something.
Yeah, Hello Fresh.
and they would bake it for so long and then they broil it.
Oh, okay. But they would broil it at the end, like together, just so you, yeah, just so you can get a little,
And they'd
That little chart
shake the
that-
olive oil on it in the pan, but I can see
yes,
how you do either.
either way, doesn't even matter.
What's your favorite dinner? I heard that.
Friends of mine taught me how to do salmon that way.
And
Yeah.
parchment. Yeah.
You know, actually in foil, because I never
Yeah,
had
in foil.
parchment.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, stunning.
Oh.
It's my favorite.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really good.
It comes out so, like the pouch just helps it to keep very moist and so it doesn't get dried out.
What kind of salmon do you get?
I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, they say to buy wild salmon as opposed to farmed. I mean, have to admit, I don't love it because I can't seem to find any that I don't like all the bones. It kind of freaks me out. So I try and just get the best quality farm salmon I can buy. I mean, at Whole Foods, this is $5 a pound, so it's pretty cheap.
Whole Foods?
This is, yeah, because they get their salmon like it's sustainable, you know, like as good as you could really ask for. It's not some pond in, you know, middle of Tennessee. Like it's good, you know, good quality.
So the parchment doesn't catch fire?
It doesn't, it'll get brown, but don't panic. It will turn a little bit brown and then you need to be careful once you take it out of the oven because there will be built up steam in there. So you just want to be careful, put mitts on your hands or use like tongs to unravel because you'll get a little puff of steam. Yeah, oh my gosh,
It's really good. I've actually never tried this. I usually, when I'm making salmon, I mean, this is just another way of doing it and it also keeps it moist. I started out on the cooktop in a cast iron skillet and my husband loves crunchy, you know, like the salmon skins, like he'll eat the salmon. I don't want that, but he likes it. So that kind of crisps it up and then you stick it in the oven to finish it off at like 375 and it makes me look like I'm the best cook ever because it just always turns out, I can't mess it up. Like I can't mess it up. So there's lots of options. You really can't even mess up roasted vegetables. That's the thing. It's just, I mean, it's not what you know, it's what you do. So how do you work these things into your life? And y'all, I'm sure, are busy people. I mean, like finding a lot of people like to just cook on Sundays or even say you only did it one day a week. Think about, I think a lot of times people will choose not to do things because they can't do it all the time. But imagine if you just did it once a week and you ate these meals 2 or 3 times out of the week. Add that up over the course of, 52 weeks of the year. That all these little steps add up to be big changes. So you don't have to do every day perfect. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. But the more you kind of weave it into your life, it becomes a habit. And the next thing you know, that's how you eat. And I think anybody who kind of is moved to a cleaner diet will tell you, like eventually that's what you crave. Believe it or not, you'll crave colorful vegetables more than you would ever think. It's just because I think once your body gets used to it, it's just, you enjoy it a lot more. When you're not accustomed to and addicted to all the things that are built into processed foods and, anything made out of sugar, because those things are made to be addictive. All processed foods. Most of you know this, in these companies they have laboratories where they try and figure out the bliss point. It's like the point at which your body wants more and needs more and will stop at nothing to get it. You know what I mean? Like who ever had one Oreo?
Or one Cheeto.
Nobody.
Right?
What about chopping and freezing?
I mean, if freezing is a great, I mean, that's so smart. I'm not great at that. I mean, some people are the best, cook a lot of stuff and freeze it. I mean, like soups, stews, even vegetables, all these things preserve well when they're frozen. So I think that's a great thing to do too. Just say you're making, you know, like you're making salmon, make extra so you have it for the week. If you want to freeze it because you have a lot, then, you know, you have it for later. But I think that's smart just to kind of keep a stash, you know?
Well, just even things that you can throw into the skillet easily, like flat freezing bags of diced onions and peppers and whatever, where you can, and they make the little snack size bags.
Yeah.
It seems like that might.
That's an easy thing, and then also places like Trader Joe's have done a really good job of trying to make things easier for people. Like you could buy a bag of cut up whatever. I mean, they have all of it. I mean, they talk about for soup bases and stews the mirepoix, like the fancy name for onions, carrots, celery. A lot of that's just, it's all made up. So if you know,
Trader Joe's can do it. We can do it.
yeah, or you could buy at Trader Joe's. Yeah. So yeah, freezing, that's kind of a lost art. My mom used to do that all the time. She'd make like big batches of everything and be frozen and you just have it right there. So yeah, just having a regular cook day or making a bunch of stuff and freezing it. Cooking with friends, like if you have people you like to cook with, like getting together and cooking something together and sharing sharing the bounty. Like there's all kinds of ways to make it fun, you know? So I could tell, you could smell something's cooking in there, right? Something is cooking. Herbs, fun to grow and easy to grow. I'd say like having a garden in Nashville with all the critters is impossible, but they don't like herbs. And herbs are kind of thought to be, I mean, it's one of the foods that's considered to be anti-cancer. You know, adding in herbs, of whether it's rosemary, dill, cilantro, it just makes the food more flavorful and it has a nice little anti-cancer punch. So it's fun to grow. Try it. Basil too. Yeah, see, these are cooking quickly.
Oh, yeah. And then in your packets, you'll have some handouts that have to do with food prep and just making the most of your time in the kitchen, because like we were just saying, to make a huge pan, it's like I'll never eat that, or my family could never eat that. It doesn't matter. So, make a ton, and because it takes the same amount of time to cook a lot of chicken breasts or, vegetables as it does just to make a small single serving. So go ahead and like double it if you can, or triple the recipe, and then you've got it in the freezer or, in containers in your refrigerator for lunches and dinners during the week.
All right, so salmon in the oven, 10 minutes, that's it. I think that's right. Yeah, so 10 to 15 minutes depending on how done you'd like it. So we'll go somewhere in between there. But as you can see, this didn't take long, right? No big deal. So no big deal.
What temperature you set it at?
This is at 400. The recipes, the salmon was calling for 400. The roasted vegetables, they said in this recipe, and you have copies of all this. 425. It doesn't matter. 400 is going to work, right? So both of them are in there at 400. So we'll just let those go. And while they're cooking, Karen made these with her own eggs. Her own chicken.
Yes.
Plate in her backyard.
And we let them get out and walk around the yard, so we think they're free range chickens.
Well, they are.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're fed really good things. They eat all of our leftover, if we have any leftover veggies or like the carrot peels or like anything that we're not eating of the broccoli, like it all goes out to the chickens. But so this is a great way to make breakfast ahead of time and have it in your freezer, in your fridge. Has anybody made crustless quiches before? So
frittatas, but sort of like in that.
Yeah, it's very similar to a frittata, exactly. So just for people who are trying to watch gluten, And you know, the real, the healthy part of a quiche is you know, what's inside. It's the egg part. And so this is a great way to make a breakfast. They were just made in a muffin tin, and you basically just put your beat up eggs. So this is like 8 eggs to make. What I make 12. And then anything that you want. So this one is slightly different than your recipe. I bought some diced ham, and then I steamed some broccoli. And so first I put the broccoli and the diced ham in the bottom of the little muffin tin, and then I added the egg mixture to it. And so the mixture is typically good. The recipe will call for milk, but I used almond milk. And then there are recipes out there that will call for some half and half, maybe some cream. And cream is not something we have to be like totally like afraid of. You can definitely leave it out, but it's a healthy fat, and so if you just have, you know, a little bit in there, that's going to be fine. And then let's see, it was salt and pepper, and then a little bit of nutmeg in this one. So again, this is a place where you could use some Italian seasonings if you kind of enjoy Italian food or that flavor. You can saute some like red peppers and onions first and then put them in, or you know, put them in even when they're not sauteed, and you'll just get a little bit of a deeper flavor, a richer flavor from those veggies. So if anybody wants to try these, we can heat them up in the microwave a little bit. Any questions about these? They're super easy.
Karen, you know I got that recipe from you.
Yeah.
But what I did is I got liquid egg white, and I did 50-50 ratios to help with the cholesterol.
Yeah, for sure. Great
And it
idea.
worked out.
Yes, absolutely. If anybody has to watch cholesterol, and it's the egg yolk is the part of the egg that has the cholesterol, and the egg white is the protein part. Good, but has anybody made those before, and like has a better way of doing it?
What did you call it?
Crustless quiche. Crustless quiche.
And did you already ingredients and put that in this?
You can, and so I would either spray it with like a avocado oil or olive oil spray, but I ended up just taking some butter on a paper towel and just, greased them that way. But you could use the papers too. Or has anybody experimented with the silicone baking stuff? Yeah, I think that's
safe with the heat. Are they safe with the heat? Do they emit like some?
the
No.
silicone.
You have to get it really, really hot to melt silicone. You can
Okay.
use it in
Well,
this.
not to melt it, but to like.
It's not,
Yeah, that's what I was
not, you're not gonna get it hot enough to melt it or pot.
I ended up, I steamed the broccoli. So I steamed the broccoli, and then the ham I bought like food copies, just like diced, which is, not like the best. You can definitely do better than that. I did that simply for time's sake. And then these do have a little bit of Swiss cheese in them. So it was Swiss cheese and ham and broccoli. The recipe that you have does not, you'll see it's not exactly that, but you can easily modify. You could put like some sausage in there. I mean, however you like to make your eggs. Spinach would be awesome. So these are great if you are trying to get extra vegetables in your diet. This is like a great way to do it. You can do, onions and peppers and garlic and
Spinach.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then when these came out of the oven, I put them on like a little baking rack so that they got, because I was going to put them in the freezer. And I wanted them to be really good in like,
Here, it should be on that front page, there's an evaluation. Please remember to fill that out before you leave and leave it here. You can just leave it on the island. We appreciate you filling that out.